The UK wedding industry is big business. Across the country, couples are pouring their heart, soul and wallets into the most important day of their lives. In this series, we'll be sharing the inspiration, personal touches and dreams behind people's wedding day. From cracking cakes, fancy frocks, posh proposals and budget brides. Look no further as we invite you to share in three couples' very special day and get a glimpse of the best weddings from around the world. So take a pew, grab your tissues and tiaras and join us as we walk down the aisle. On tonight's show, we've got extravagant affairs, cash-conscious brides and quirky themes. One bride completely blows her £20,000 budget.
If I want it, I will get it, and that wasn't me being a bridezilla.
But if that's not your style, we'll see how one couple made their day special on just £5,000.
Proper Yorkshire just uses free stuff.
And with a limited budget, this duo made everything by hand to create the perfect DIY Boho Beach wedding.
I just always wanted to be a bit of a hippie and walk down the aisle barefoot.
The UK wedding industry is worth over £10 billion a year, and it all starts with the proposal. These days, how you pop the question is almost as important as the wedding itself, and couples all over the world go to extreme lengths to make it a moment to remember. Thrill seeker Luke from Pembrokeshire certainly did that when travelling in Australia with girlfriend Rachel. He made a spectacular proposal that started at 15,000 feet and ended on the beach.
You sucky.
It took him 2 months to plan, and luckily he didn't drop the £3,000 white gold and sapphire ring.
Voila. Happy? How good is that?
If you'd rather splash the cash back home, then look no further than Tower Bridge in London, which you can hire for £6,000. Claire was amazed when she turned up to find her boyfriend Lee had made 8 canvases with memories of their time together. He hired 6 singers from the West End at £300 each and bought the ring for just short of £5,000 from Bond Street. The whole thing cost him £14,000. Thankfully, Claire said yes. When 31-year-old nightclub manager Alex popped the question to his girlfriend Anita, a 34-year-old business consultant, he fulfilled her pretty woman fantasies with a proposal in LA.
I like Pretty Woman, and he proposed to me at the Beverly Wilshire,
in LA.
which I was very happy about because that's where Pretty Woman was filmed. And the first thing I said to you was,
Let's go over to Tiffany.
no. I did not. I went, have you asked my dad?
A suite at the Beverly Wilshire cost £1,500 a night, and Anita's taste ran to an £8,000 ring. But what Anita wants, she gets. And when it came to planning the wedding, she knew exactly what she wanted.
I didn't look at any other venue but my venue, because I knew that was my venue. I knew who my photographer was, I knew who my florist was going to be, I knew what cars I was using.
Didn't have a choice.
He didn't. He generally didn't.
Have a
And that
choice.
wasn't me being a bridezilla.
But it was
I've
the
just-
best.
If I want it, I will get it.
The average cost for a UK wedding is around £20,000, which is what Alex and Anita had planned to spend.
We didn't put a specific budget on it, but we knew around about 20 to 25,
Yeah, it
didn't
was.
we?
That we needed to stick to.
Yeah.
And we kind of didn't
No.
at all.
No. The total spend was closer to £40,000. We'll find out later what Anita spent all her money on. Going over budget was not an option for our Yorkshire couple. 29-year-old nurse Amy and 31-year-old pipe layer Stephen. who had a much smaller budget of £5,000, with no room for error.
We didn't want all the traditional things where companies seem to add noughts onto the end of every price tag as soon as you mention wedding. We were like, we can do this.
And the proposal was no less thrifty. Stephen popped the question to Amy in their living room on Valentine's Day, along with a £50 engagement ring, which after waiting for 10 years was not a moment too soon for our Amy.
You got up to go into the kitchen and you said, oh, do you want your proper Valentine's present? And I thought you were going to come out with the mother of all cupcakes. But then out comes the box and you got down on one knee.
Yeah.
Almost asked me to marry you.
I did. You didn't say yeah.
You didn't quite get it out. You might have got a little bit emotional.
You don't really dream of getting married when you're a kid. You dream of scoring a goal at Wembley.
The boys may not be dreaming of marriage, but the girls are. Loved up Bournemouth couple 29-year-old carpenter Nick and 30-year-old customer service manager Suzanne got married just 1 month ago. Nick proposed by writing a message in the sand under the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco.
So, see anything you like? What? The message. Oh, did you write that? Yes. It's like, well, will you marry me? She went, oh, yeah, okay.
To me, the proposal was more important than the wedding. That moment where you decide yes or no on the spot is one of the biggest questions of your life.
Their wedding budget was restricted to £10,000, but they blew most of that on the beautiful Bournemouth venue. So had to rely on family and friends to help create their Boho Beach theme.
It was a DIY, everybody had played a part. It was just like a, you know, bring your own plate type affair. Everybody put in something. You know, my dad did the sloe gin, my friend India did the little bottles because she's really artistic and made them look really pretty and dainty.
We were just getting pebbles off the beach and just writing the names on them and then just place them down there. It's a free thing to do.
Coming up, we show how our bride Anita turned a £20,000 wedding into a 40 grand extravaganza in the blink of an eye. Do.
Every girl wants to be a princess.
Really? Have you asked them all?
Did Amy and Steve pull off a wedding with only 5 grand?
Can you do fish and chips? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'll be like, right, book it.
And we look at more fantastic ideas on how to do the big day with pure panache. More and more of us are getting hitched, with one couple getting married every 2 minutes in the United Kingdom. For most brides, job number 1 is finding the perfect dress. And in Britain, they come in all shapes and sizes. If your wife-to-be dreams of being a candy pink princess, then do what Morrison's checkout girl Gemma did and hire a Cinderella carriage like this one for £500. Gemma chose this wedding to postman Darren because it had always been her childhood dream to be a real princess. Her granny made the dress, and for £60, what princess wouldn't want to splash out on the most important item? The tiara. If you prefer pitch black to pink, then Julian and Joe's 50 grand gothic vampire wedding in Edinburgh will be your cup of tea. Being old school goth, their reception was at the aptly named Witchery Hotel. With her black dress and a spooky pagan cake covered in cobwebs, she was spot on with the detail. Except it happened closer to midday than midnight. For some, black may be the new white, but 30-year-old art teacher Amy from Cambridge chose a rainbow wedding instead. Taking inspiration from her classroom, she must have ransacked the resource cupboard for all these multicoloured dresses, which were a ray of sunshine. For her £20,000 wedding to designer James, she cannily cut costs on the bridesmaid dresses at £40 each from eBay. in favour of her stunning £1,500 dress. Amy spent a year searching charity shops across the country for colourful accessories. These included rainbow shoes, table decorations and multicoloured moustaches, which look better on some than others. The reception dinner cost £2,000 with 600 sausages for the barbecue and a rainbow fruit salad. They finished off, of course, with a bouncy castle. With an extravagant, no-expense spared white wedding to plan in Cheshire, for our couple Anita and Alex, there was no doubt what type of wedding dress she was going for.
My dress was the 4th dress that I tried on, and it was the only dress that I cried when I put on. Went back the following Saturday and went, that's my dress. And that was it. It was very booby though.
Anita's dress was a bargain at £1,000. But the best things in life are always free, like Suzanne's dress, made by her mum.
There is literally love in every stitch. She did so well on it. It was, beautiful. A lovely sweetheart neckline that changed days before the wedding.
We changed it and changed it and changed it. I don't know how many times we changed it. And I was so happy with it in the end.
Hippie Suzanne had always dreamt of walking barefoot down the aisle, in fitting with her Boho Beach theme, and even wanted to wear her old cowboy boots to get to the venue.
I had bought her a beautiful pair of gold and silver shoes, which I wanted her to wear. No, she's going to wear these boots. And she wore the boots.
Rock and roll Yorkshire lass Amy also knew her own mind. And top of her list was to look like a princess, without busting her £5,000 budget.
I saw this pink and turquoise dress. It just looked so beautiful, hung up there with all the tulle and little sparkly bits, and it was just so big and so full. It was just a prom dress, mine, really. So, it wasn't the wedding dress price tag.
At £300, Amy's dress was a moderate chunk of her whole £5,000 budget. As always, the big expense was the venue, but at least that included the booze. She also splashed out on the photographer and a £15 taxi ride to the church.
The venue we got a package deal, so that was £2,000. The photographer was the biggest spend, and that was getting discount as well for being a tattooed bride. The hotel that we decided on, one of the first things I said, can you do fish and chips? Yeah, that's fine, yeah. I was like, right, book it. We can afford this and they'll make me fish and chips.
Amy was a bit of a bridezilla. She knew what she wanted, shall we say.
Yeah, you did ignore all my suggestions. Yeah. They weren't good enough.
But they both agreed on the table decorations.
So I ended up looking around the house thinking, what do I like to look at? Oh, trolls. Sylvanian families. Barbie. So, a Kaplunk as well.
Yeah, proper Yorkshire, and just use as free stuff.
It was kind of based around a festival, so we didn't have invites, we had tickets. We didn't, the table features were toys. It was all very much just Steve and Amy.
A personal touch is the great thing about planning your wedding. And all over Britain, couples are getting married in their own unique style. Yorkshire hairdresser Cherie wore this wispy creation, costing £1,800 at her £14,000 wedding to childhood sweetheart James. It had a 6-foot-long detachable train, which cost another £1,000, with her diamond-encrusted necklace, that was a bargain, at £25. Laid-back Cherie and James wanted a casual afternoon tea theme to match the gorgeous £6,000 venue at Alton Hall in Leeds. The wedding breakfast was high tea with scones and sandwiches in the lounge, which they filled with Alice in Wonderland-style decorations. And the bride truly was the Queen of Hearts for the day. 40-year-old Emma and 27-year-old Josh brought a love of burlesque to their wedding at Brownsover Hall in Rugby on a budget of £10,000. With this Gothic mansion costing £4,500 to hire. The bridesmaids' dresses were 20 quid each from eBay and £500 for the wedding dress. She made the bouquet herself from family heirlooms, and the guests sat down to a 3-course dinner for £80 a head of salmon, lamb shank and strawberries and cream. Her friends made the teacup centerpieces from fake flowers and birds, and they even made the funky cakes. And no guessing what the entertainment was going to be. Our couple Suzanne and Nick's wedding theme was less risque, more romantic, with a beautiful boho beach setting.
When she first said she was going to have a wedding on the beach, I was thinking, oh my God, I've got to pay for a trip to Barbados or somewhere.
But with a budget of 10 grand, it wasn't Barbados, but Bournemouth.
We had saved 10 grand for a house, but that became our wedding fund. Going over budget wasn't an option.
No.
We just weren't going to do it.
Most of their budget went on the beach venue, and in fitting with their boho beach wedding theme, everything else was borrowed or handmade. To save costs, children weren't invited, they used taxis for transport and pulled in a lot of favours.
My friend Adam did my hair and my cousin with my makeup.
I made 2 cakes, 1 traditional, 1 sponge. I made bunting, flags, which I embroidered. I made a bridesmaid dress, and I made a wedding dress.
Yeah, probably people get a bit snooty hearing DIY.
And it's our wedding, it's how we want to, how we
Yeah.
envisioned it, not really about
You're
anyone
actually
else.
not putting it on in honour of anybody other than each other.
But cracks started to develop when muscle man Nick failed to pull his weight.
Oh my God! If it was Nick's way, we would have had a marquee that was plain, nothing in it, nothing at all.
It did stress her out that he would come home or leave work, not come home, go to the gym, come back and just lay there on the bed or on the sofa and snore, basically.
But as the wedding approached, Nick went from laid-back bodybuilder to badass.
I saw Groomzilla. He was bashing out orders to the men. So to my brother and my fiancé, you had to have your beards grown in this length. You had to have your hair cut in this style.
And he wanted my hair cut and styled like Kim Kardashian's mum. I don't even know.
This bride wasn't worried about her hair on the wedding day. Yorkshire couple 63-year-old chartered accountant Chris and 58-year-old housewife Janet got married underwater in the Maldives. They chose it because they're both dedicated divers. And though they spent a total of £17,000 on this little jaunt, Janet was sensible enough to get the wedding dress for £50 at a charity shop. I just hope she didn't spend too much on a hairdo. Closer to home, our couple Alex and Anita from Manchester were planning a very posh traditional white wedding in Cheshire for 200 guests. She'd seen a venue, but at £4,000 to hire, it was way over budget.
But this nosy hall just kept coming up, and I thought, none of my friends have got married there. And I looked into it, I thought, it's beautiful, and I told you about it, and you were like, don't get your hopes up on that. And I was like, okay.
But the seed had been planted, and that's where most of the budget went. What started out at £20,000 came closer to £40,000. And that wasn't including many favours from friends.
Do you know what I don't regret? I don't regret going over.
No, I don't.
I don't regret it at all. And we're probably going to be paying it back for a while. We've got bills.
Don't get me wrong,
we've got bills. We're human, you know. We're only
Everyone's got
normal.
bills.
Of course we are, but it's payable. It's manageable to pay back.
Lucky for her, there were no bills to pay back on the bouquet of flowers, as she got them for free.
Oh yeah, that was a big bouquet.
The biggest bouquet I've ever
like
seen.
when he come and dropped it off, I was like, how am I supposed to carry this? I was like, it was so big. I loved it though.
But if you think that was over the top, it's nothing compared to Christina and Chad's wedding in Nashville, Tennessee. They spent £2,500 on this venue, plus £14,000 on decorations, which included a full-scale replica of the long-lost original Parthenon in Athens, complete with a 42-foot-high statue of Athena, made with over 4 kilos of gold leaf. Everything about this wedding was just perfect.
When I hear your voice, my heart fills with so much joy. Your joy is such a gift from God.
Including this charming ritual, painting out their feelings. Seems that their relationship will be 50 shades of pink. And rather than the bride making an entrance, it was the cake. For a £5,000 wedding budget, you can have a medieval wedding for 60 people, just like 23-year-old illustrator Kate and 25-year-old waiter Sam. Both keen fans of dressing up medieval style, the bride designed her own dress, cake and all the decorations. And where would you have a medieval wedding? A castle? No! The underground caves at the Dudley Caverns Canal Trust, which is free. Then it's just £300 for these Normanist reenactors. And £1,300 for a reception dinner at the Dannery pub in Bridge North, which includes access to the garden. They're tucked into a 14th century feast of pies, hog roast and pork on the bone, followed by a lemon roulade. Kate's mother-in-law provided champagne and a glass of wine for everyone, which led to an evening of medieval revelry. Coming up, we see what happened when our couple said, "I do." Anita receives some devastating news. Plus, we get a taste of some of the world's wackiest wedding venues. Your wedding day is billed as the happiest day of your life. That's if you're lucky enough to survive the hen and stag do, navigate the stresses and keep a rein on the purse strings. Most of us still go for the traditional wedding, but if you want to try something different, the sky's the limit. This couple from Belgium invited 20 guests to their wedding, 110 feet up. For £750, the bride arrived in a helicopter, followed by a stretch Humvee, which you can hire for the day for £600. The ceremony set them back £15,000 just for the cranes and 4 platforms, and an extra £900 for the string quartet. Not surprisingly, they kept the meal light, with fish soup and champagne, so they could take the plunge again at 90 feet. Shame about the weather. Unlike Belgium, there was no problem with the rain at this wedding in the Black Rock Desert. Melissa and Eric got married in 40-degree heat in Nevada, USA. Regular festival goers, they chose their conscious coupling at the quirky Burning Man Festival. Melissa's hippie dad walked her down the aisle, and the vicar's their mate, the shaman. Let's hope he's legal. The bridesmaids wore feather wings borrowed from Las Vegas showgirls. And the bride's $300 bouquet was made from recycled aluminium. And no limo for the bridal party. The merry pranksters departed on a bus that doubled up as transport, reception venue and entertainment all in one. Far from quirky, Anita and Alex's big plush 40 grand wedding was approaching, and bride Anita knew exactly who she wanted for her entertainment.
My major obsession is Take That. Take That or Gary, and it has been that way since I was about 10, 11 years old. I didn't have a favourite. But then the more stuff that Gary started to do, like X Factor and stuff like that, and we went to see him more, he then kind of become my favourite.
Hi, everyone.
I asked him 2 years ago at the X Factor, I was like, what's the chance of you being a wedding singer? And his words was, when is it? I said, in May 2015. He went, where's the venue? I went, Nosey Hall. I went, that's a bit of a posh do. That could be possible.
Anita and her friends set up a massive Twitter campaign and made it their mission to get Gary Barlow to the wedding. We find out later if all their efforts paid off. And while Anita was dreaming of Gary Barlow, our bride Amy, who was on a limited £5,000, was finding her budget wasn't the only thing that was tight.
A mission of getting me in the dress. It took, I don't know, I feel like it must have been a good hour of getting dress on, back off, back on again, shoes on, and lots of bubbly.
And after a few cheeky bottles of bubbly in the morning, Amy was ready to walk down the aisle.
My dad gave me away. He sped down the aisle a little bit.
You were nearly running, yeah.
Look, my dad's off. He's off.
He's off. No, come on.
Nearly dragging me down aisle. I think he was quite eager to give me away. Have a.
But Steve was ready and willing.
Breathtaking. Took my breath away. I was a little bit emotional.
I was so happy that I was marrying my Stephen.
To cut costs, the bridesmaids carried £6 giant lollipops instead of bouquets. And the fun festival theme took off with a good old traditional egg and spoon race.
There were just eggs all over the place, bridesmaids sliding on the floor. But it was funny. We did have a laugh.
People absolutely just loved it. Sitting down to eat, for example, it wasn't a big posh 3-course meal. We had fish and chips, you know, in newspaper.
The placemats were designed by a friend, and the table plan she typed and printed herself. The budget-friendly meal was followed by speeches. But not being the conventional types, Stephen's best man was his dad, while Amy's maid of honour was a bloke.
Amy termed me bridesman, but I sort of termed myself the gay of honour as Amy's best friend, you know.
And he even insisted on making a speech.
You have found one at number 236.
It was a very funny speech. It was very Dunbar.
And raise your glasses to the prince and princess.
A royal affair was the idea behind this lavish Greek wedding in Hampstead, London. Carla and David had an elegant 6-figure wedding for 204 guests. The dress may have been a modern £4,500 Vera Wang number, but the ceremony was centuries-old Greek Orthodox. Rituals included crowning the bride and groom, with wreaths and white silk ribbon, symbolising unity. And there was plenty of Greek dancing at the reception, with the band costing a whopping 25 grand. And the lavish central London hotel venue cost over £20,000, fit for a prince and princess. Our couple Anita and Alex's big white wedding day had arrived. Her dream was to have Gary Barlow sing for them, and having launched a Twitter campaign, she'd hoped to succeed. But the morning of the wedding, she received bad news.
Anita, I'm sorry, sweet, I can't be at your wedding. Please forgive me.
I was absolutely heartbroken. I was devastated, like full-on crying, everything. I pretty much sobbed for a whole hour, and all I kept thinking was, okay, so the dream of him being at my wedding is just not going to happen now.
But the wedding must go on, and for Anita, a Gary Barlow tribute act will have to do. But first, the splendid entrance in a vintage car, which you can hire for £400.
The bridesmaid had a matching vintage bus, so they all went in that, all for my sisters. So I had a vintage car. He walked because it was like over the road from our house. So he walked with all the ushers.
And there was like 6 of us in blue suits and pocket watches. It looked like something out of the Sopranos walking down the street. It was brilliant.
When planning your wedding day, don't overlook church fees. The fee for Anita's venue, Flowery Field Church in Manchester, was £250.
In the dress, she looked amazing, and I just couldn't. All I said for the first 10 minutes is wow.
Oh, look at your face, like beaming.
It's the best she's ever looked.
Cheers. And then I walked out to Pretty Woman, Roy Orbison. I walked in to take that greatest day. People were just in the church and the light, you know, just all giving it all.
It was like a mini concert in the church.
On arrival at the venue, the guests were served canapés at £10.50 a head, of fish and chips and mini jacket potatoes. Then 200 guests were led into the Great Hall. The wedding breakfast was a 3-course meal with foie gras and stuffed roast pork, followed by Eton mess. The drinks cost £30 a head for 2 glasses of Prosecco, half a bottle of wine each, and a glass of champagne for the toast.
There was a bit of Hollywood in there, like our table names. They were like, we had Beverly Wilshire, Hollywood Boulevard, you know, things like in LA. Right. What we just wanted was everyone to have fun.
While partying was Anita and Alex's strong suit, Nick and Suzanne's 10 grand Bournemouth Boho Beach wedding took a much more laid-back approach.
The morning of the wedding, we had to drop a few things down at the beach venue, which was really lovely to see the marquee like bare, and then just imagine all our bits, filling it all up.
The theme was brilliant. It was on the beach. Everything was so relaxed. It just suited Suzanne so well.
Yeah, I just got some like little crochet kind of footless sandal type things, and oh my goodness, it was the best decision I made. I didn't have sore feet. I just always wanted to be a bit of a hippie and walk down the aisle barefoot.
Suzanne's mum made the pink lace Duchess satin bridesmaid dresses at £35 each. The bride also bought the bouquets the night before at a local florist for under £50. Suzanne's mum also made 150 metres of bunting to line the marquee.
She looks so beautiful in that dress. Couldn't control my feelings and then started crying. A little bit. Blew me away.
After the legal wedding, they had a blessing from a rather unconventional vicar.
Yeah.
Love and laughter, that's all we wanted. To top it off, a little thing, he was a magician as well. He got these 2 rose petals and he rubbed them together and he said he's just got a fan and these 2 petals just turned into like hundreds of them, filling the room, filling it up, and just all over us.
I definitely get emotional thinking about it. It was just lovely, so good.
It's a room full of love.
There was plenty of love going around at Anita and Alex's wedding as they wanted non-stop entertainment.
We had singing waiters, which
they were amazing.
Are brilliant. Then we had the Gary Barlow tribute.
Total attitude.
It was literally...
It was non-stop.
It didn't stop.
It was brilliant. How good is that?
I know, it was good.
Honestly.
But what she didn't plan on was that her lifelong wish would eventually come true.
A Million Love Songs starts. And then I hear this big cheer.
And the real Gary Barlow appeared.
I was just seeing Gary and I just was like, don't
start.
And well hard me. And then Gary was stood there. I didn't want to cry, but that's what it meant to me. I can't believe it.
Let's hear it for Trout.
Look at your grin.
I don't regret anything from the day, nothing at all. I don't think, we shouldn't have done that or we shouldn't have done that.
The feeling that I had on the day was, I've had the best wedding ever, wouldn't change a thing, couldn't ask for anything better.
Coming up, the wedding reception kicks off with the cutting of the cake. But they're not what you'd expect. And did Amy and Steve's budget provide enough booze to make it a night to remember? If only they could.
Just a recipe for destruction, really, hence why I got a little bit tipsy.
For many couples, once the official marriage has taken place, it's a chance for them to relax and enjoy the party. And this all starts with the cutting of the cake. And cakes and cutters come in all shapes and sizes. Sarah and Ross from Truro followed an ancient Scottish tradition. The new husband must keep a firm grip on his wife's hand as she chops the cake. Clearly, in Scottish tradition, you can't trust a woman with an axe. Jax and Nigel Trout from Weston-Super-Mare, who are surprisingly both bikers, met online through Biker Match and got married 1 month after they started dating. Jax loves skulls and vampires, so it was a no-brainer, literally. Her stepdaughter made the cake and cupcakes, which took a couple of weeks. Chocolate Skull, bought online for £45. Total cost, £100. David from Austin, Texas, let his bride Natalie use their decapitated heads for the cake. No surprise, they both love horror films and Halloween. It took Natalie, who's a cake artist, 40 hours to make this creation. The outside might be bitter and twisted, but the inside is as sweet as buttercream. And if you're after unusual cakes, there are endless possibilities. From a unicorn to a severed arm. The choice is yours. The average amount people spend on a cake in Britain is around £300, but our couple, Amy and Steve, who were only on a £5 budget, didn't have to skimp on the cake, as this beauty was baked by Amy's mum for £30. Their £2,000 Holiday Inn wedding package included fish, chips and mushy peas for 52 people and cheesecake as dessert. The price also included the drinks, a glass of Bucks Fizz on arrival, a glass of wine with the meal and a glass of Carver for the toast. That's great value. But people weren't at Amy and Steve's wedding for the food.
After we'd had our meal, we went out and did our first Mr. and Mrs. beer bong with the snake bite. Just a recipe for destruction, really, hence why I got a little bit tipsy.
You were so drunk. You were the most drunk I've ever seen her. Ridiculously drunk.
And from there on in, it was all downhill.
I'm already losing my dress a bit. Look, I can see my bra there.
beautiful bride, by the end of the night, was paralytic and then passed out in the middle of the bed, starfishing it. So I sat in a chair having a cheese sarnie, watching Never Mind the Buzzcocks.
As one wedding fizzles out, Bohol Beach couple Suzanne and Nick came up with a unique way for theirs to go off with a bang. The first couple in Britain to ever fly into their wedding party on a 25-pounder zip wire.
It was brilliant. It was so lovely as well, just to see everybody at the bottom of the zip line and just think, oh, there's all our bunch of lovelies.
Nick and Suzanne had 2 cakes, both made by, yes, you've guessed it, Suzanne's mum for £100, which wasn't too big a bite out of their £10,000 budget.
God, that's some voice.
The 70 guests sat down to a barbecue wedding breakfast of beef burgers and sausages, prepared by a local caterer, at £24 a head. Jugs of sangria flowed freely, along with 21 bottles of wine and 11 bottles of Prosecco, which came to a total of £1,300.
As you all know, I lost my father a few years ago, and Sue's never got a chance to meet him. The hardest thing for me was when I touched, talking on about my dad. He passed before me and Suze got together the year before.
Round 2.
No. Oh, I just missed him and I really wished he was there. Our first dance we had sparklers around us. And then after that we also set off some Chinese lanterns, but not expensive things, the things that didn't break the bank, but people just liked it, you know. It's just something different, just your traditional wedding.
And as the end of the day drew to a close, what advice would Nick and Suzanne give to people on their wedding day?
Well, our friends Shilpa and Mike, they said to us beforehand, make sure you make time, 2 minutes just to grab each other and remember that moment. And I'm so glad she said that, because after the ceremony, I grabbed Nick and I said, let's have our 2 minutes now. And we just kind of went, wife, husband,
A perfect day for Nick and Suzanne, who wouldn't have changed a thing. But would our Bradford budget bride have done anything different?
Well, if we'd have had more money, I'd have liked you can get the VW camper vans for weddings. I would have loved to have arrived in one of those, but they're not cheap.
But whatever your budget, that loving feeling on your wedding day is priceless.
Be stood there on the start of your married life with the person that you love's an awesome feeling. There's not like it. It's brilliant. Yeah, really.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Next time, how to keep a country bumpkin wedding looking effortlessly elegant without the need to stick to tradition.
When he asked me to walk him down the aisle, I just cried my little eyes out.
Plus, the big day with 60 grand's worth of glitz and glamour to indulge in.
I had a vision and it had to be like that. I didn't want to cut any corners.
And how to tackle getting hitched on a shoestring budget.
Everyone expects you to be wearing heels, and when you had a nice picture of us all with our dresses up and the Converse shoes all in a line, it worked really well.